What if everything you thought you knew about Jewish origins was wrong? In 2013, a groundbreaking genetic study shook centuries of assumptions about Ashkenazi Jewish history. Researchers discovered that nearly 40% of Ashkenazi Jews could trace their maternal ancestry to just 4 women, not from the Middle East, but from prehistoric Europe. At the same time, paternal DNA confirmed deep roots in the ancient Levant. So how can a population be both Middle Eastern and European? And what does this tell us about their true origins? For decades, historians, linguists, and geneticists debated the question: were Ashkenazi Jews direct descendants of ancient Israelites, or were they formed through centuries of migration, intermarriage, and conversion across Europe? Now, using tools like mitochondrial DNA, Y chromosome markers, and autosomal genome analysis, scientists are uncovering a story far more complex and far more fascinating than anyone expected. The Ashkenazi Jews represent one of the most studied diaspora populations in the world. Today, they make up roughly 70 to 75% of Jews globally. Most trace their immediate ancestry to Central and Eastern Europe, Germany, Poland, Lithuania, and Russia. Yet their cultural memory, religious texts, and identity point to a much older origin, the ancient kingdoms of Israel and Judah in the Levant. Jewish communities have always been defined not just by religion, but by shared cultural and linguistic identity. After the destruction of the Second Temple in 70 CE by the Romans, many Jews were exiled, initiating centuries of diaspora life. The Ashkenazi branch first appears in historical records from the Rhineland region around the 10th century CE. Over time, they expanded into Eastern Europe, maintaining religious cohesion while absorbing linguistic and, possibly, genetic influences from surrounding populations. What makes their story particularly intriguing is how they survived repeated persecutions and migrations. These pressures helped create a population that is both genetically and culturally distinct, a detail that sets the stage for the genetic discoveries to come. The paternal ancestry of Ashkenazi Jews is traced through the Y chromosome, passed from father to son. Studies, including a landmark 2013 paper in Nature Communications, show that around 60 to 70% of Ashkenazi men carry Y chromosome haplogroups common in the Middle East, specifically J1, J2, and E1b1b. These haplogroups are found among modern Levantine populations, such as Palestinians, Druze, and Lebanese. This confirms that Ashkenazi Jewish paternal lines trace back to the ancient Near East, aligning with historical accounts of exile from Israel and Judah. Despite centuries in Europe, these paternal lines persisted due to endogamy, marrying within the community, which helped preserve this deep ancestral connection. But if paternal lines are Middle Eastern, why do so many Ashkenazi Jews carry European maternal DNA? That question leads us to a surprising discovery. Maternal ancestry, traced through mitochondrial DNA, tells a very different story. A 2006 study, later confirmed in 2013, revealed that nearly 40% of Ashkenazi Jews descend from just 4 maternal lineages, known as founder haplogroups. These lineages do not originate in the Levant, but in prehistoric Europe, particularly regions near northern Italy and possibly the Caucasus. This suggests that early Ashkenazi men from the Middle East married and assimilated local European women during the diaspora. Many of these women converted to Judaism and became part of tightly knit Jewish communities, passing their mitochondrial DNA down through generations. This dual origin, Middle Eastern fathers, European mothers, is what makes Ashkenazi genetics so unique. It challenges simplistic assumptions that diaspora populations are either pure descendants of ancient homelands or entirely shaped by local populations. Autosomal DNA, inherited from both parents, paints an even clearer picture. Ashkenazi Jews show roughly 50 to 60% Middle Eastern ancestry and 40 to 50% European ancestry. Interestingly, the European component comes largely from Southern Europe, Italy and Greece, rather than the Northern or Eastern Europe, where Ashkenazi communities later flourished. This suggests that most genetic mixing occurred early in Mediterranean communities, long before Ashkenazi Jews migrated northward into Germany and Eastern Europe. Imagine a population traveling thousands of kilometers while preserving core elements of identity, yet blending biologically with local populations along the way. The result is a genetic record that tells a story spanning centuries, regions, and cultures. The earliest historical records of Ashkenazi Jews appear in the Rhineland, modern-day Germany, around the 10th century CE. Here, Ashkenazi culture began to crystallize, including the development of Yiddish, a language blending medieval German, Hebrew, and Slavic influences. Life in the Rhineland was far from easy. Jews faced persecution, including expulsions from England in 1290, France in 1306, and parts of Germany. Many migrated eastward to Poland, Lithuania, and Russia, where Ashkenazi populations would flourish. Despite these challenges, they maintained religious and cultural cohesion, which played a key role in preserving both their European, maternal, and Levantine paternal DNA. Genetics reveals another important aspect: a population bottleneck between the 13th and 15th centuries. A small ancestral population, likely only a few thousand individuals, gave rise to the millions of Ashkenazi Jews alive today. This founder effect explains their genetic homogeneity and the high incidence of inherited disorders like Tay-Sachs and Gaucher disease. The bottleneck also amplified the contribution of the 4 European maternal lineages, making them a major component of the population. Meanwhile, the Levantine paternal lines persisted. This combination, a small founding population with distinct maternal and paternal ancestries, created the genetic signature that defines Ashkenazi Jews today. Throughout history, scholars have proposed various theories to explain Ashkenazi origins. Some claimed they were purely descendants of ancient Israelites. Others suggested the Khazar hypothesis, that a Turkic kingdom in the Caucasus converted to Judaism in the 9th century and formed the Ashkenazi population. Modern genetics largely debunks these extremes. There is little evidence of Central Asian or East Asian ancestry. Instead, Ashkenazi Jews are a hybrid population. Middle Eastern paternal lines, European maternal lines, shaped by centuries of migration, integration, and cultural continuity. It's important to note that genetics alone cannot define Jewish identity. Culture, religion, language, and history have been equally crucial in shaping Ashkenazi life. Endurance through exile, persecution, and migration reflects not just biological survival, but also the resilience of cultural traditions, scholarship, and social cohesion. By combining genetic data with historical and linguistic evidence, we gain a holistic view of Ashkenazi identity. DNA tells one story, migration and ancestry, while culture tells another, survival, adaptation, and continuity. Both narratives are essential to understanding who the Ashkenazi Jews really are. The European component in Ashkenazi ancestry points to southern Europe, not the Germanic or Slavic regions where the population later thrived. This implies that maternal integration occurred early, likely in Italy or Greece, before northward migration. Historical records support this. Jewish communities existed in Rome, Naples, and Venice as early as the 1st century BCE. Women in these communities, whether converts or intermarried locals, contributed their mitochondrial DNA, which persists in Ashkenazi populations today. The bottlenecks and founder effects not only shaped ancestry, but also influenced health. Ashkenazi Jews have higher frequencies of certain genetic disorders, including Tay-Sachs, Gaucher, and familial dysautonomia. Studying these genetic patterns helps both science and medicine. It informs genetic counseling, research on inherited diseases, and our understanding of how historical migrations continue to impact populations today. The genetic evidence is clear. Ashkenazi Jews are neither entirely Middle Eastern nor entirely European. They are a hybrid population, formed through migration, cultural retention, and local integration. Their paternal lines link them to the ancient Levant, while maternal lines reflect early European admixture. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to Medieval Mind and hit the bell icon so you never miss our explorations into human history.